What's up, everybody? It's your boy. Let us pray. I hope you're having a blessed and prosperous day. I will say the topic at hand is going to be at the bottom. It's going to be in the comment section. The whole statement from Commissioner Roger Goddell. Yes, this is going to be a reaction to Commissioner Roger Goodell's statement in reference to Mr. George Floyd's death and Ahmaud Arbery, as well as the young lady who was killed in Louisville, Kentucky. First of all, let me say this. Without question, Colin Kaepernick should be in the NFL. Okay. I won't be what's the word? Naive to say that he's a top 5 quarterback, but he's definitely better than at least one of those 32 quarterbacks that are starting in the league. I'll say that. He should be a starter in the NFL. Led his team to a Super Bowl berth, Super Bowl appearance, didn't win, came close, very close. Highly skilled quarterback, mobile, man, good arm, rocket arm. You know, there are some questions about his accuracy, but we could say that about half the quarterbacks in the league right now. But you can't deny the talent that he has. Okay. Commissioner Goddell. The reason why I'm doing this video, and the reason why some other people have reacted negatively in light of his address to the injustice that we see and that continues to be a part of the weekly news. A black man being killed unarmed by law enforcement. This is something that Colin Kaepernick was fighting for by peacefully protesting. He stated several times he was peacefully protesting how law enforcement treats black people. That's why he was kneeling when the national anthem was played. People were outraged. Some of them veterans, some of them current military, some of them family of military, some of them just sports fans, saying he's un-American, saying what he's doing is unpatriotic. What he's doing is rude, cruel, insensitive. All the people that have lost their lives over the years, he's disgracing them. They went on and on and on. Outrage, threatened to kill the man. Received, I don't know, countless amount of death threats from people all over the country. I can't understand why Colin Kaepernick would do this. Can't understand why he doesn't see this as wrong. Why is he protesting against the American flag? Get him out of the NFL. Even Donald Trump said shouldn't be allowed to play in the NFL if he doesn't stand for the American flag. So now, in light of multiple videos over multiple years, now the commissioner comes out and says, in light of all these recent events, we really want to try to use our platform to create change. We realize the anger and the pain that protesters are feeling in our country, we realize we can use this platform to, help support black. I don't even think he ever said black Americans or African Americans, but they say he wants to help, America be a better society, blah, 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 blah. I'll say this, man. You had an opportunity to stand with Kaepernick. You had an opportunity to back him. You had an opportunity to support him on this, man. And it really makes you look bad. It makes you look disingenuous. It makes you look like, oh, we better put something out, because we don't want to look like we don't care about this issue, especially when Kaepernick was protesting. It just seems so fake, man. It seems so fake and phony. I was listening to sports radio, and they were basically discussing, wouldn't you think one of the owners in the excuse me, in the NFL, this AC on, man, wouldn't you think one of the owners in the NFL would want to sign Kaepernick around this time, just as a measure of good faith? Sign him to be like, hey, man, we realize now what you were saying then. We were wrong. We were wrong, Kaepernick. Look at all that's happened since he simply kneeled. Look at all that's happened in our country. Wouldn't you think one of the owners would be like, man, I'm signing him today. I'm putting him on the team today. I don't care what the fans say. I don't care what the commissioner says. I don't care. I'm putting Kaepernick on the team. He deserves to be on the team. But have you heard anything? No. Nope. Not one peep from owners. Not one peep from general managers saying that Kaepernick deserved to be in the league. Not one front office member of the NFL saying, hey, Kaepernick. There was a former front office NFL associate that came out and said, yeah, as soon as Kaepernick decided to stand against or kneel to protest peacefully against the police brutality that black men have endured over the past several hundred years, his career was over. His career was over. Owners decided that he did not belong in the league simply because he was bad for business. He was bad for the bottom line. They didn't want to deal with the repercussions of protesters. Ironically, they didn't want to deal with the repercussions of protesters. They didn't want to deal with the repercussions of their fans turning their back on them because they signed Colin Kaepernick. So he said his career was over as soon as he made that decision. And it's sad to see, man. It's sad to see. I know a lot of people personally that have boycotted the NFL since Kaepernick has not been in the league. And I'm actually considering doing the same thing. Going forward. Unless this league makes some dramatic changes and shows me that they really care. Not just about the black players, but about black people in general. We have to make decisions that affect the powers that be financially. in order for our voices to be heard. Did some research and reading about apartheid in South Africa and how that racist system and racist political party was finally overthrown. And it took a lot. It took about, well, say for them, I mean, it took about, it took close to 90 to 100 years from when those first apartheid laws were passed before, Nelson Mandela was elected president. So that was about almost 90 to 100 years in that span. It's crazy to think that with what South Africa's done, the U.S. is so far behind. There was one huge, monumental, gruesome protest in South Africa that opened the eyes globally for other countries, for the Olympic Committee, and for several businesses to decide that they were going to boycott South African businesses and boycott their country, not go and visit, not go and give them their tourist dollars, and it was ultimately crippling for that country's local economy for them to remain racist, because no one would do business with them. And I think ultimately that's what it's going to take for change in this country. It's going to take global pressure from many businesses, tourists deciding to go spend their dollars elsewhere. It's going to take pressure possibly from the Olympic Committee, possibly from our own athletes. Not just black athletes, but all athletes deciding to boycott the Olympic Games because they don't believe in what the U.S. stands for at this moment. If there isn't justice for all, then they don't want to be a part of the Olympic team. It's going to take everybody standing together, man. And the NFL could do a huge favor to themselves by just signing Colin Kaepernick, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be done, and that's amazing to me. It's clear this man was right in his convictions. It's clear this man was right in the feeling he had, the unction, the passion for standing up for what he believed in at that moment. It wasn't popular, and in some circles it's still not popular now, but he stood up for what he believed was right, and I commend him for that. I truly commend you, Colin Kaepernick, man, for everything that you did, man, and for all that you continue to do. It's definitely one of the what would you say, one of the only millennial activists we had that was actually an athlete and put his career on the line, man, for change. And that's to be respected, because he walked away from millions of dollars. I'm sure he didn't expect initially to be blackballed and kicked out of the league, but I'm sure it was discussed, and I'm sure he thought about it, the consequences of what he was doing. But he decided to change and his voice being heard, even though he was silently protesting. His actions, his voice being heard was more important than the millions of dollars he could possibly accrue. And that's what we call purpose, man. What's your purpose in life? So NFL, Roger Goodell, you can do better. 3 or 4 paragraphs about how these events have saddened you, and an overview of the protests and the riots simply isn't good enough, man. It simply isn't good enough. We want to see action taken, not words on paper. People want to see action taken, not words on paper, because that's all that ever seems to be done to pacify black people in this country for a long time. Is just put words on paper and not stand behind your actions. So it's time for action. NFL, it's time for action. Judges, it's time for action. Law enforcement, it's time for action. Politicians, sheriffs, it's time for action. President Trump, even though you haven't really came out and made a statement saying how upset you are about black people being killed, you haven't said anything. You've been silent. Yeah, it's time for action, man. We don't need any more words on paper. We don't need any more our thoughts and prayers are with you. No, we need you to do some action. We need some action. We need some actions taken. We need some laws reformed. We need some things put in place to ensure the safety of black men and women and people of all colors. Equality, man. So that's what we need. We need change. And I'm going to do a video later about how we could possibly go about making those changes. Some of the steps possibly that we could take. I mentioned one of them now, global pressure. How do we put global pressure on the United States to make change? Which that's what I believe it's going to take. I think it's going to take global pressure, not just pressure within the United States, because black people have been crying out for equality for a long time, over 100 years, 300 years we've been crying out for equality, man, and still don't have it. So it's not just going to take an effort from blacks and whites, but we do thank you for your support, blacks, whites, Hispanic brothers, Latino brothers, and sisters, and all other races, Asian, Polynesian, everybody. We appreciate everyone who is genuinely bound together and joined us in this effort to end this senseless violence against black people. So it's your boy, Let Us Pray. I hope you're having a blessed and prosperous day. NFL, Roger Goodell, you got to do better, man. You got to do better. Plain and simple. You got to do better. If you don't do better, I'm definitely not watching the NFL until you do better. And that you heard that here first. I'm as big an NFL fan as there is, man. I got my Falcon shirt on today. But if you don't do better, I'm not watching, man. I'm not watching. And I urge some of you to do the same thing. Do the same thing, man. If they don't do better, man, don't watch them. Don't give them a dime. Don't give them a dime of revenue. Don't give them 1 second of TV time in your home or on your phone or your tablet. Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Red Zone, all of it. NFL Mobile. Don't give them a second of your time if they don't do better. Words on paper don't mean anything. Let's make that change, y'all. So, boy, let us pray. Have a blessed and a prosperous day. Take care. Peace and out.